Well, right now, there is an attack on our men happening all over the globe. There is a radical left agenda right now to feminize each and every single one of our men. And I am tired of it. I'm tired of this talk of toxic masculinity and somehow just being a man makes you toxic. Look, I'm all for, hey, I've got friends who are gay and the whole 9 yards and men who want to be more feminine. Great. If that's what you want to be, more power to you. But I am sick and tired of them forcing this kind of feminism on all our men and then bashing a man for being a man. In today's broadcast, I am bringing on Bruce Fong. He is the sponsor of this video, and he's got amazing information that he's got to share with you guys. Look, because I've got daughters. I've got a 19, a 22, and a 23-year-old. They're in that dating age, and they're looking for some pretty good manly men, and people like Dr. Bruce are here to help that out. So Bruce, there is this toxic masculinity crisis. Tell him a little bit about who you are. And by the way, he is with Neutronics Labs. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Bruce.
So everybody, my name is Bruce Fong. I'm an osteopathic physician. I practice here in the Reno, Nevada, at the Sierra Integrated Medical Center. And again, I went through medical school after being raised in a family where we had Chinese medicine and alternative medicine that my parents actually had started a clinic in integrated medicine. And I went from that to being conventionally trained and coming back into this. But the most important part is we've look at things from a very broad perspective. And we don't look at it from just one thing. And we'd love to be able to help you guys out if you ever need us. And so we would love to help you to figure out everything from each perspective that we can. Again, just to give you an idea, we spend 90 minutes with each of our new patients because we do care and we do want to listen to you and know what's happening. But hey, I can't agree with you more. I mean, I think that we have a world right now that we have this thing called toxic masculinity. Do you guys know where that actually is? So number one, I'm going to tell you that's a complete bogus term. I'm watching my language here, so but because I can be much more animated about that. The term toxic masculinity came from a psychiatric study of, I believe it was Georgia, but don't quote me on that, but the Georgia penal system, where they were studying sex offenders. Okay, so does that match most of you guys out there? I don't think so. But that term was picked up by folks on the, whatever side of the woke crowd, the left side, who decided that they wanted to apply that term to any person that was not meeting their idealistic standard of a emasculated man. I'm going to use that term, emasculated. I mean, they're taking away your masculinity. That's a huge issue because that's not what the natural process is. That's not what nature had intended for us to be. I'm proudly a Christian. Hopefully nobody has a problem with that. But I'm going to tell you that in the Bible, it talks about the man being the head of the family, but it also talks about the man being the provider, the one that cares for his wife. And again, what does it say in Genesis? That for that reason, a man shall leave his parents and become one flesh with his wife. So again, this is about a role that, it's everything from the Bible to everything in history until recent times. And just as you said, this is not about, I agree with Lisa, there's not about if you make a lifestyle change or choice, that's okay. But you can't force this down the throat of everybody else because you're literally trying to change the natural process in life. So that's a big issue. Did you guys know that compared to guys back in the late 80s and early 90s, somehow I didn't know about this until recently. I didn't know we kept data all the way back then. I was the dumb college kid back then, and well, you can imagine what dumb college kids did besides being a bartender. Thanks, Lisa, for letting that cat out of the bag. But the whole point is that back then they actually kept data, and they kept data about testosterone levels, and it was an absolute shock. I want to say it was right before COVID hit that somebody did this study that looked at data right around 2018 or 2017 and compared testosterone levels at every single age group and demographic, comparing to the guys back in the late 80s, early 90s. So there's a reason why you had Arnold Schwarzenegger's, Chuck Norris's, and Sylvester Stallone's back there. Hope you guys are all good out there, by the way. The whole point, and those are the guys that I idolized when I grew up. But there is a huge, scary difference, literally across the board in every single category, anywhere from a 20 to 30% per capita decrease on a person, on a guy who was, say, a guy in his 50s now versus the guy back in the 80s and 90s, was about 25 to 30% lower in their testosterone on average across the board. That's scary. So this whole thing about toxic masculinity, that's trying to affect us here, but something else is hitting us along the way. And guess what? We live in a toxic environment. And one of the things we have to understand is that that toxic environment is actually hitting us really hard. I mean, you guys have heard about this, right? You're talking about chemicals we deal with every single day. Did you know that the food industry uses estrogens, like say in livestock? Did you know that that soy is being used as a filler in a lot of our food products? And guess what? American grown soy is actually estrogenic, meaning it produces estrogen in the body. So here we are. We're starting to feminize ourselves. Didn't even know it. But even worse, things that we run into every day, like breakdown products from plastics, like bisphenol A, phthalates, to name a few things. These all are things that get in there. They interfere with our ability to actually make testosterone and actually be able to utilize the testosterone. Other things, pesticides. They actually, how do pesticides work? They mess with the endocrine and neurologic systems of the thing you're trying to kill. Well, guess what? They're getting us that way. So that it's changing our ability to make testosterone. It's making our cells not be able to utilize testosterone. So all these things are out there. And then on top of it, you have this society, just as Lisa was talking about, that tells us, hey, it's not good for you to be you need to be more sensitive. I don't know about you guys, but I like to work out. I like to be strong, and I'm a little assertive. Sometimes my mouth gets away from me. I'm going to say I'm proud of that, because I'm going to give a little kudo to the fact that a couple of years ago, when I was the president of my state association for the osteopaths, we challenged the governor, who was trying to keep hydroxychloroquine away from people during COVID, which was about the only thing we had at the time. And it's proven that that's still a recommended therapy to this day. But we fought him tooth and nail, and we actually sued him and actually got him to back off on his executive order. So that's something we're really proud of. It made me a political target, but guess what? Who cares? I did the right thing.
You know what? But speaking of being a political target, speaking of being a political target, I mean, this is what we do. And that's one of the reasons I really like what you do, because you're focusing on that issue that is getting left behind. And by the way, if you guys want to check it out, I've got the link here on the screen, neutronicslabs.com/Lisa. And by the way, he's going to introduce some great stuff, some great aids on testosterone. And here's the thing, I think it's much needed in society. That's why I've agreed to bring him on, as a sponsor and all of that. And so I want to encourage you, check that out. There is 10% off your order in that as well by using Lisa. But kind of on that vein, one of the reasons I really like and trust you, I guess kind of going in a different area, why is testosterone so important?
Okay, so all of us, and well, as guys, as we know, I mean, the most obvious thing is that a guy's, ever since they have Viagra, this is something that's talked about more. But it used to be really, clumsy things like all these creams and weird pumps. If you watch the Austin Powers movies, you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, the whole issue is that guys, as we get older, the first things, of course, one of the things that can happen to us is that we get erectile dysfunction, but also we get in the gym, we're like going, damn, dude, I got to work out harder to get the same things. I don't seem to get as much. And then, guys are tempted to use things like steroids or whatever. Please don't do that. There's much better things. In fact, I'll talk about one of them today. The bottom line is that we don't make enough testosterone at a certain point. And we also don't make a lot of our hormones and growth factors at a certain point. It used to be about our mid 30s. And unfortunately, that number is getting because of the toxic world and the fact that we're under constant stress, that we burn the stuff up faster. We need more of it. So that critical point is shifting from about the mid 30s down to maybe the early 30s, maybe late 20s. And hey, Lisa, here's a shocker. I have young college age guys showing up to my practice asking for things like Viagra. Now you don't have to, you don't need a, you can do it online. So I don't get this anymore, but that's frightening.
That's
Back when,
terrifying. I
yeah.
mean, already? That's supposed to be like way later. Is it happening sooner?
Right. So these guys, I think it's most of it's here, but there are a couple of guys that I did their testosterone levels. I was shocked. I mean, they were okay before I started using the product or whatever. But my being 56 years old, my I was expected to be a little lower, and the only reason I found out mine was bad was that I went to shoulder surgery and somebody accidentally did my testosterone level and it was crazy low. But I mean, I was able to help it get it back up at this point. But the point being, these kids were lower than me. I was like, how in the hell did you get lower than me? And that blew me away. And I was working. This is one of the reasons that we wanted a natural product because we didn't want to put everybody on testosterone at that early age, for instance. Because in case you guys don't know, if you use a hormone replacement, you actually shut down the brain's signal to the various organs that produce those hormones to make the hormones. So you don't want to get on the hormone unless you really have to. So you want the best principle in medicine, use the least effective dose, use the least invasive thing that can work first. And then you have a lot of stuff you can work with as you go forward. So anyway, being that principle, I've prescribed this stuff. I mean, it wasn't like back when the stuff first came out. Guys who were young were using it because they wanted to, be porn stars, if short of anything else to say, they're in bed with their partners. But now it's like these guys can't even function. That frightens me. I think our race is going to die out if we don't do something about this. This is stupid. Okay, so that's what kind of helped prompt on Neutronics. The fact that we can't even maintain ourselves as well. I mean, talking about we're working out, talking about frankly, did you know also that testosterone in older men affects their memory? The lack of it actually has been shown in studies to affect certain types of memory. The ability to find our way around, for instance, is another thing that's been documented. It protects our heart. It just very similar to what estrogen does in females, testosterone does in men in a different mechanism. So it actually keeps us from getting cardiovascular disease as long as our levels are maintained. But anyway, it's really important basically because it's a central hormone. As we get older, as it gets lower, we start running into some problems. So and that goes for growth factors, which I'll talk about later. But we wanted to talk about this because at Neutronics Labs, we heard various practitioners we work with, we heard our patients, and we said, okay, we got to do something about this. So what did we do? The research team did the research across the board, looking at all the natural compounds that actually helped with this. And the three that we really singled out were the most effective was fenugreek. There's also tribulus and also longjack, also known as tonkattai. All three bolster testosterone production. It's a little bit beyond today's program for me to get into the exact details, but if you ever want to contact me, we can talk about that. But more importantly, all three, fenugreek being the most important one, they actually modulate the receptors where the testosterone plugs in so that actually you can utilize it the way you do. Because all those things I mentioned earlier, those toxins, they affect the receptor just as much as production of testosterone. So again, you're hitting it from all different directions. And then add to that, we have at Neutronics Labs, main thing that we're known for is something called deer antler velvet extract, which is essentially all the growth factors in our bodies that are present during the presence of human growth hormone are actually represented in the deer's growing antlers. And so that particular extract allows us to have all the growth factors we need to continue to maintain ourselves. Combining all this in a compound that goes under the tongue with a liposomal or fat-based delivery system, delivers all this stuff right to the bloodstream, not eating it all up in your gut, all the way into the bloodstream and getting it right to the tissues that you need. And this is why it's so much more effective than anything else that's out there, even possibly rivaling actually taking testosterone in certain people. Okay, that's how effective this stuff is. It's all natural. And we've been very proud of the product. In fact, it was about 8 or 9 months ago, maybe a little more, we actually decided to improve it. We actually added L-citrulline and L-arginine. These are amino acids that actually increase nitric oxide, which is the most potent vasodilator. Again, putting that all together increases the blood flow, opens up the blood vessels. In other words, it helps you control your blood pressure to a degree and gets all these things where you got to go. And in case you didn't know it.
So what is that product? Because you mention it. What is that product? The name of the product?
So it's this product. It's called Man's Edge, and so we're really proud of it. And like I said, the last thing I just mentioned about the nitric oxide increasing blood flow was the main complaint that most guys were having with that erectile dysfunction. It's actually helping to fix it with the combination of compounds we just talked about in here.
And by the way, if you guys want to check that out, go to Neutronics Labs with an S.com/Lisa. It's in the description box too. And right now for auto ship, there's a 50% discount, and you can use the code Lisa to get 10% kind of. But I really think what you're doing is amazing, and what he's doing for our men is really going to help. And maybe you're a woman out there. This is something that you could potentially help your husband as well with those testosterones. I mean, because like you're saying, it is a real crisis. There is issues. There have been studies that have kind of shown those massive decreases. On top of that, we got society pushing this toxic masculinity. I guess what can be done? Like, how do they give them a little more information on the product itself, and then that as well.
So again, that was pretty much everything, all the ingredients that we talked about in the Man's Edge. And again, we want you guys to really try this one out because it really can make a huge difference. But aging in a healthy manner, that's another thing I just wanted to bring up. So Neutronics Labs was founded on this particular product. This is a deer antler velvet extract. So deer lose their antlers. They grow a new rack in 110 days. In the growing antler is a growth matrix that when you can harvest it, and all we do is vacuum it out, cold press it, put it in that liposomal delivery system so it goes under the tongue right in your bloodstream, and you're going to find that you have all the same growth factors that you have in the presence of human growth hormone. And just like we talked about testosterone, you hit a certain point, like right in your 30s somewhere, where you don't have enough. Everybody goes, oh, my metabolism slowed down, or I'm not as good as I used to be. Quit whining. We get something to fix this, okay? We're going to get on board this. We're going to fix this, because for a healthy aging, there's no such thing as anti-aging, but for healthy aging, to be the best that you can be, that's an old Army slogan in case you didn't know it, but to be the best that you can be in a natural way, this is the number one thing you can do for yourself. And it's good for men, it's good for women, and it can make you be able to maintain your muscle tone, but also it's for blood vessel health, it's for neurologic health, it's for any tissue in the body, because we have all the same growth factors when we have in the presence of human growth hormone to help maintain and repair things in this toxic world that we have. And then combining the men's.
You said there's a woman's formula too. Is it different than the men's?
Yes, and I was going to segue right into that next. So after we made the Man's Edge, we had a lot of requests from the ladies for a specific product for the ladies. And so again, Neutronics Labs listens. So we went and looked at the primary complaints of ladies as we reach, as we, I don't want to use the word as we get older, as we, shall we say, mature in a beautiful way. So the bottom line was we created a product, started with this, the deer antler velvet, and we added for, say, urinary tract and health, we put cranberry extract. For neurologic health, B12, folic acid. For the bone, it's vitamin D and iron are in there. And for the hormones, this is going to blow you away. Something called boron. It's a mineral that helps to balance out the hormones. One of the big things it does is it unlocks your hormones from something called sex hormone binding globulin, which goes around and locks up excess hormones. So again, it helps your body to maximize all the things that are there, and it creates a wonderful balance. And being Chinese by descent, of course, I grew up with that yin yang thing, and you're looking at that perfect balance. And all these products used together. So, man, again, you got the Man's Edge and the IGF-1. And forgive me, I didn't get a chance to get a women's formula, but the IGF and the women's formula together, these are the things that will give you all the materials you need to be the best you can be. You can age in a healthy manner. And again, you're looking at things like, all those diseases of aging, supposedly, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, high lipids, even, even the diabetes and things like that, or insulin resistance. When you're on board a lot of these things, it really helps to reduce the risk of developing those things. And if somebody's already had it, we've clinically shown it helps improve those situations as well. So again, you want to be on these things together so that you can have the proper combination for that 1-2 punch, so to speak, to be able to knock out all these things that try to bring you down.
Perfect. Well, I'm so excited. Thank you for coming on the broadcast, sharing that. Any concluding thoughts, links, you can retell them the specials and stuff as well.
So, well, one thing we wanted to do special for everybody is that right now, um, if you get, and again, our main product again, the IGF-1 Plus, the deer antler velvet by itself, is the main thing we want people to do. We have various strengths of this product, and check out the website to see which one would be best for you. But if you get on what's called an auto ship, which is you don't buy one, but you get one every month because we feel that strongly about the product, we literally give you half off. Literally, we want you to be on this. We're not, I mean, obviously, as a company, you got to make money, but we're not here for just a profiteering. We're here because we want to make you healthy, and we want to, and that's how big of a commitment we have to you. That if you get on a continuous or regimen with this, that you have the ability to be able to continue to use it. So again, being on that, we would take it. Like I said, number one, it's half off with the auto ship, but because we're talking about Man's Edge today, you're going to get a free bottle of this if you activate an auto ship with any of the IGF-1 levels. So I encourage you guys, take advantage of this. That 1-2 punch is going to be something that you will really feel not only when you're working out, but it's for anybody at any sort of shall we say, fitness level or their activity level. It's going to make a difference for you, and you're going to feel that, and you're going to really turn around and notice the gains, and you're going to notice that, hey, I got more energy. Then next thing you know, I feel better. I want to go work out now. And so it's a process that actually builds you up so that you get excited for doing these things and you start to do all the things you need to know. Know that you need to do, I should say. And all that's there for you. And there's a verse in the Bible, 2 Timothy 1, chapter or verse 7, that says, "For God did not give us the spirit of fear, but one of knowledge, power, and a sound mind." So I want you to take this and empower yourself. Know that there's a lot of love behind this, and know that you can be the best you can be for whatever purpose. And hey, you know what? I do that for my family, as I don't do it necessarily just for myself. I do it for my family. I do it for my patients because I want to be here for them. And it's for whoever you love out there, it's important to you. Do it for them. And obviously, from me, I want you to do it for yourself. But I want you to realize there's a lot of people that need you out there, and you should feel empowered yourself. You should be proud of yourself, and you should be able to continue to do all that you can do.
And I say a big amen to that. And again, if you guys want to check it out, it is in the description box below. There's also the link here on the screen, but it's neutronicslabs.com/Lisa, and use that code Lisa to get 10% off. Again, if you do the auto ship, there's 50% off plus the special that he spoke of as well. But with all of that, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, and that was Bruce Fong signing out.